okay? So let's see. I think the theme of my mug is going to be donuts. So I'll draw a couple donut designs on here and use that as my theme. And remember, you do not need to make donuts at all, but this is just something that I am going to do for mine. So one thing you notice as I'm drawing this in, we're getting these little clay crumbs. That just means your clay is a little bit wet. And so we might need to let it dry a little bit. If that is happening, and we got to be very, very careful with this, you do have the option to use a blow dryer to kind of help make it not so wet, but we want to do this minimally. So I'm just going to do it a tiny bit. Okay, so I don't want to overdo it. I'm probably going to still have a few of those little clay crumbs there, but later on I can kind of smooth those out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm not going to draw the full details of this right now. I'm going to add sprinkles and stuff to it later. So I'm just going to do parts of it. One of the great things about drawing or using like a pencil to create your design is that, let's say you make a mistake, you just can kind of erase it by taking your finger or even taking a little bit of a sponge to smooth that out. So one thing I would be careful about is not drawing too or adding designs too close to the edges right now, because when we attach them, we will kind of do a little bit of overlapping there. So we don't want to, if you want to add details to that, well, you'll do that later. All right, so I'm not done with this, but I just kind of wanted you to see, I put these little sprinkle designs on here. Just wanted you to see what that would look like. And I'll do something kind of over here on the other half. All right, so now I am ready to attach this. So now remember, you'll be able to add other details onto it later as well. But once we do this, there's really no, but we'll want to do this first. Okay, so what we will do, and one thing, I know it's going to be kind of hard to see, but we're going to do our best to put this together so that it's right here on the seam. Okay, now this is pretty big, so we might do okay, so as we put this together, you will kind of position it. Now, since we don't have anything in the middle supporting it, it's gonna shift around a little bit, so we have to be pretty careful, okay? One thing that you might do is, for instance, right now I'm gonna take my extra bag of clay, because there's a little bit of height there, and I might use it to kind of lean over it a little bit to kind of help me out, okay? So for this step, what I'm gonna do is I am going to slip and score to attach. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to score. You can use whatever tool for this. Okay, I'm using the serrated rib, and so if I'm going to attach these two pieces here, I'm going to score those edges. I could also just use a pencil. Okay, I just like to use this because it's quick and fast. All right, so now before I attach, I'm just going to use my finger and I'm going to blot. I'm not wiping. I'm just adding a little bit of slip to this, because if I wipe it too much, it's going to just like eliminate all those lines that I just made. Okay. All right. So now I am going to carefully press together. And now you can see I'm smushing it a little bit. It's not circular. That's okay. We will be able to do that later, or fix that later. Okay. So one thing that I have this pretty well pressed together, but we can still see that there's like that big line there. Okay. So what I am going to do is I'm actually going to create a mini little coil. Okay. And I do this just by rolling it out. And I don't want it super, super thick. And because this clay is pretty soft, I'm actually not going to slip and score this part right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, and I'm supporting on the inside as well, is I am just going to press this in to kind of help get rid of that. All right. Then I'm going to take, and notice that I'm supporting on the inside. I'm going to take my serrated rib, even using some of these like wooden tools like this to kind of start smoothing it in. Works really well. But I really like using this serrated rib, and it actually scratches it up and down. So this is why I said be careful about adding detail around here until we have this connected. Okay. So I'm going to move it upside down. I know this is going to be hard for y'all to see. But basically, I would just scratch this all up, and then to smooth it out, what we're going to do is you can take the smooth side or the smooth rib and actually start smoothing it out, okay? All right, so that's pretty well attached right now. Also, if you see that you have a big seam on the inside, go ahead, smooth that out with your hand, or use one of the clay tools, because you will want to fix that before we go on to this next part. Okay, now I still have lots of smoothing out to do, but I can totally do that later. Okay.